Hey, it's Brooks. Today's Forge a Character video is actually brought to you in part by a few viewers like you, loyal patrons and Twitch viewers over on twitch.tv/bageldenizen. I was actually able to stream again after a long time yesterday, and I put the vibe out of what I was hoping to draw in general, an animal-type farmer, and a few viewers are actually able to contribute some ideas. A crow who collected fireflies, which I thought was a really cool idea. And I guess I should address and explain this since there's a crow with a coffee cup and a thumbs up in the better part of this time-lapse. We were able to discuss the joys of our local Cumberland Farms convenience store's bizarre social media hashtag, #GotMyCumbies, which is sort of their attempt to become Starbucks, I guess. Can you post links, Mark? Do you mind? Would you post the #GotMyCumbies picture? I don't know if anyone's familiar with Cumberland Farms. They're really trying to make you post a picture of yourself with your Cumberland Farms coffee with the hashtag #GotMyCumbies. For a meatball sub. Even in the ER, I've got my cumbies. No, Bonnie, I'm so sad. Poor Bonnie is in the ER 2 years ago. I hope she's okay. Oh my gosh, I hope she's okay. She's good. She tweeted about Boston on May 9th. All right, good. This is a happy crow right here. I think my favorite part of this entire hashtag is Dear Kirk's screenshotted conversation with the Twitter account of Dunkin' Donuts Connecticut, which he hashtags loyalty. And if everyone was to post under this video just a copy and paste of his reply to them, I'd be so upset. I'd be so upset. It would make my day. Anyhow, on to the actual content of the Forge a Character. I threw out the request that people suggest kinds of animals to be a farmer or shopkeep, thus the text in the upper left-hand corner, and what it would be that he was actually farming. So the suggestion of crow came up, and the farming he would be doing would be collecting fireflies, because crows and ravens are attracted to shiny objects. So I thought that was a really great idea. And of course we've got my Cumbies crow there. I did multiple iterations on this crow with a bit of reference in the background, the idea always being that iterating on a character design is going to be the best way to improve it, not just going with the first idea that you have. I also was trying a couple of different things with this character. It was a bit of an experimenting character design for me in the rendering department. Usually my line weights, or the thickness of my lines, are pretty thick. They're pretty strong, kind of like what you see in the lower left-hand corner here. That's kind of the final inking that I'll tend to do. So for this character, I instead wanted to make the thinnest line I possibly could, almost as though it was a lineless drawing. You can see a couple of different wardrobe changes that we are making to the character there. Initially, the jar that he was collecting fireflies in was upright, but then we realized that if he sort of swapped the jar out and it was sideways like that, it acted almost like a net. And of course there's some glass jars kind of going down that staff, almost like a helix, collecting fireflies, as well as the net on the back with fireflies as well. What this meant for me was I would need to pay greater attention to the actual rendering that I did and the forms. And I think that's something that it's hard to do, or if you're not careful enough, will kind of ruin a drawing if you go for thinner lines than you originally had, because you need to have a good understanding of the dimensionality of your character, the light sources, which in this case, there's sort of two different light sources. Usually a character is lit from either the front or the back, and this character is surrounded by these iridescent glowing bugs, so there's light kind of coming at him from both sides. So I do my best to flat out each section of the character here, at least to have something to select and draw on later, and the rendering from here almost is in reverse. I tend to start with those greater lights and maybe the ambient occlusion, and then work toward texture, and what you'll see here is the character continues to be really flat looking throughout the rendering process, almost like there's kind of a step missing. And what I end up doing is a lot of that texture work initially, so I kind of do a very rough light and shadow here, and then get to work on things like the feathers, the texture of the feathers and the head. Looking at reference of crows, there's a really nice shimmer and rim that will go around the head and neck area with light. Here I kind of start at the feet wraps there first, and so you'll see those are initially kind of the only areas that are dimensional and fully rendered. Everything's in reverse. Then later on, once I've got all of this rendering done, where the texture is in for the feathers and everything, I'll tend to add a lot looser, softer lights and shadows over top of this character. This character actually has about 3 or 4 different overlay layers, multiply layers, lighten layers that kind of help pop the character. And because all of that texture information, all of the nuance and ambient occlusion is in there at first, it's easy to cast that new light and make it continue to look realistic and not flat necessarily. All of the Firefly work is really just little soft lighting and Gaussian blurs to allow the light to kind of bloom out from where the fireflies are. And then of course we have some rim light hitting the crow on the front and back as well, which is really something that rim is a light that you can fake very easily, that you can use to your advantage very easily. And so in this case, there would probably be a lot more light affecting him, but I was really choosy and picky with where I ended up letting the rim hit him, because again, it's all about what looks best versus realism. Here you can see a lot of those overlay layers kind of coming together, and all of a sudden the character has a lot more depth to him and isn't so flat. So a lot of things I actually learned through experimenting in the rendering on this character, and I had a lot of fun streaming the initial part of the creation process over on Twitch. Make sure you're following over on twitch.tv/bageldenizen. Ideally, I'll be streaming on Monday afternoons from here on out. That's it for me today. I'm making new videos every week here on Character Design Forge. Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, I post new videos. And also this past weekend, I restarted the Weekend Critique series. You can go back and see that if you haven't already. I actually made some big changes to the format of the show so that there's a lot less dead air and a lot more respect for your guys' time. You can keep my forge burning over on patreon.com/bageldenizen. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, it's bageldenizen on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. Thank you so much for watching, and have fun creating.